My name is Cathey. I've been here in California and San Diego area for the last 20 years or so. I grew up in North Texas. So early on in life, it was pretty obvious to my parents and myself that I was very interested in being a creative person. I would write stories, just not necessarily for an assignment, just because I wanted to do it. And of course, I think every kid, really gets into drawing and making art. But around high school, that was when I really started to concentrate on music, and did that pretty seriously for many years. I would say that the art that I make is, influenced by a life of making, of being creative, and making art. I love to paint people in situations that are seemingly unimportant, and then trying to tell a story around it, mostly because I think that in situations or in moments in life where outsiders would kind of see it as kind of something that's not necessarily any different than any other moment in that person's life, something incredibly significant could be happening. And for this painting, I imagined that this person was creating a framework for their life to live by. Massive narratives that are created and sort of thrust on either large groups of people or societies, and that they're expected to live by, and how that has historically served very well a small group of people, and then to the detriment, or even exclusion of other people. And I think we're at a point where it's not, just looking at the failures of things like that, it's not such a wild idea to come up with your own grand narrative that you feel comfortable living from and referencing as a foundation of your values and your priorities. And it's funny, when I think about my artistic influences, I love Fairfield Porter. I love Kurt Thompson. These are people who can paint a summer day in such a beautiful and simple way, and such a, not necessarily like, temperature-wise, but and more emotionally in such a warm way. And I think if I could sort of snap my fingers and copy somebody's style, it would probably be something like that. And those are influences for me. But when I actually go to paint the painting, and with those all those things in mind, those things playing on my style and everything, my style ends up being, like you're saying, something a little more somber. And I would say that would have to also, that would have something to do with other influences like Van Gogh, or even something possibly a little more disturbing like Geiger. These are the two things that we hold in hand at the same time, the light and the dark. Another painting I've done that's actually here at the gallery is called Oscillation, Swimming, and I have another painting that's like it, just called Oscillation. And I think life is lived basically holding contradictions in hand at the same time, and swimming back and forth between these seemingly contradictory things. It doesn't make us hypocrites, it makes us human beings, so this is something that I think about, and I think it ends up playing out in the art, whether intentionally or not. I like to play a little darts, to warm up for the painting. It's like very Same thing, basically, painting and arts.